Hey guys, John here with another video. This time I want to talk about a mini hobby that I've had for the last few years, and that is 3D printing. I started with a Ender 3 all the way back in like 2020. I believe I got this for about $99 at Microcenter when they ran the deal. And while this thing has been great, I think I've learned a lot from it, and I even printed like some upgrades for the printer itself. I think what I've realized is half of the hobby is honestly just optimizing your 3D printer to print better, right? There's a lot of little things that I have to deal with stuff like glue, and then making sure everything's level, and then making sure there's no obstruction, and then like you could even get into things like smart home and automation for your 3D printer. While it was a really good learning experience, it was a lot to take in, and I'd rather have something that's kind of just plug and play, print and go. I recently got my hands on a Bambu Lab P1S printer with an AMS2 Pro automatic filling system, and I also have a couple of little accessories and the upgrade kit as well. So in total, I got this all for about $8.50 for the combo printer from Microcenter. Hot tip for those, if you live near a Microcenter, definitely take advantage and drive there and pick it up yourself. Saves you the shipping from the official Bambu website. Let's unbox this and let's set it up and let's see how good this Apple of 3D printers really are. Alright, I'm gonna open this first and let's unbox the P1S. Ooh, alright. So here's the print out of the box. Gotta be careful handling this. There is glass on this and it is a little bit heavy. They tell you to pull on the plastic, which I was a little bit hesitant to do, but looks like they packaged it pretty well new out of the box. And it looks like the rest of the box over here is just padding and felt. It doesn't look like there's anything else. So all the stuff is probably inside the printer. Alright, so on the top you have the manual, then you have the box of all the included official accessories in there. So now with everything pretty much almost unboxed, I'm going to just follow the manual and set this up real quick. They say it should set up in about 15 minutes, so let's see. And then opening their accessory box actually comes with a example reusable spool with PLA Basic. It came with green this time. And then here is the screen that you put on the top right here, and then all the cables and cords. Alright, so if I just was printing with a single stool, then technically the setup really only took me 15 minutes to do. The main difference between the P1S and then their more expensive X series printers is mainly hardened components inside. So while this does come with like a nozzle and an extruder gear, it's not hardened. So I actually bought from Microcenter a 0.04 and 0.06 hardened steel nozzle. They actually just sell around the store. And I also have hardened steel extruder as well. These were pretty decently priced, pretty much priced about the same as their website, so I highly recommend picking these up to just upgrade your printer right out of the box to almost the X levels. Arguably, these are the only two real upgrades that you really need for this printer to almost match the X1 printer. I'm going to install the hardened steel extruder and then one of the hardened steel nozzles. I'll probably go with like a 0.4 to start off with. So I'm going to link a video to the one I followed, and this should be pretty quick in another 15 minutes. And about 20-ish minutes later, I've basically got a new extruder, hardened extruder with a hardened steel nozzle. And I put the old ones back into these boxes. I'll label it as the old ones, even though they're not even used yet. They could be handy in case I need to replace a part for some reason. But I should be good to go to print pretty much any abrasive filament on the printer. So yeah, I would say these are really worthwhile upgrades if you're going to get a brand new Bambu Lab PYS printer anyways. Alright, so we have the P1S with the hardened gear, accessories, and Hotend installed. Now we're going to go and unbox the AMS2 with the upgrade kit. Alright, so here's the AMS2 Pro. This is literally recently released this spring. And then I have the upgrade kit that it comes with here. I believe this is just the filament buffer. It doesn't have the hub yet, but maybe I'll do the hub in the future. But let's get this unboxed and let's see how quick this will take. Alrighty, Here's the AMS2. This is a bundle, so I know some combos come with the printer inside, but this one from Microcenter comes separately in the boxes, but it's still the same price. All right, there's a little manual on the top. And on the inside, we have a few more accessories taped down, power cable and tube. All right. In the upgrade kit, we have the power supply. I believe one of these is probably used to power the external dryer that this thing comes built in with. Got some cables that you need in order for all this to all work. And I think here is the filament buffer that this comes with. All right, so I'm gonna install this on and I'll be back. Alright, so I think I got this pretty much installed. I've looked at a few different guys to make sure I was doing everything right. Make sure you're following the AMS2 tutorials, not the old AMS1 system, because it's a bit different, especially with how you do like the filament buffer and all the cables and such. Right off the bat, I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the random cable just coming around. I might need to do a little bit of cable management. And then you also gotta supply this power adapter that actually goes all the way up here to power the dryer function. So you're gonna need to figure out a way to kind of manage all your cables, but once that's done, hopefully this should be it. And then with this, I think we're ready to go. So I was able to set this up in about an hour with the initial unboxing setup, the Hardened accessories upgrade, and the AMS setup. So let's move this to the hobby room, which I'll set this up and start my first print. Alright, I have a little temporary corner in this hobby room set up for all the printing stuff. 3D printer, it's also next to a window in case I really need to open it for filaments that need open window. But I'm going to set this up using the app, and I'm going to first test a Benchy, and let's see how it all goes. Alright, I turned everything on, looks like it has power for both things, so now I'm going to go through with the setup. Alright, so the firmware is updated. This is at 1.0802 at the time of this recording. Now I'm ready to load the AMS with filament. I do have some filament I have lying around, some open, some unopened from various brands. But I'm going to use the one they included, which is the PLA Basic in the kind of like bamboo green color. So unload it in. I heard that this can auto detect, so let me see. Alright, I'll load it in the left one and put the filament into the hole right here. Oh, it already knows. It's already automatically feeding it into it. I believe it's going from the cables in the back right there. Ooh, fancy. All right, so that's already loaded. So now I believe with at least one filament loaded, and let me tighten the box, I believe there is a Benchy in here in the included SD files. So spool parts, they even have the spool one if you wanted to. Phone stand, here we go, 3D Benchy. So I'm going to start to test print this and let's see how it goes. And sure enough, it did detect what filament was in there. I'm looking at my app right now. It is the Bambu Lab PLA Basic Bamboo Green. It has the nozzle temperatures and all the information about it right here already detected. So that is a benefit of buying Bambu Lab filament. Of course, you can always buy any filament and dial in the settings yourself, but that's a nice to have because it has the RFID readers in the spool itself. And of course, on the app itself, there's using the built-in webcam so you can see exactly what it's doing. It has a light in there, so I can look at any time from either the computer or my mobile app to see what it's doing, and it has all the information about the printer. So honestly, for quality of life, this is amazing, and it's pretty plug and play out of the box, especially with the included SD card up here already, which you could always manually do yourself, or you could like pick models from the app, you know, just be able to print on the go. This is such a quality of life difference, night and day. Alright, I think the print is now done. Here's the Benchy. Let me see. It'll just come right off. It's a little bit hot still. Alright, and it just comes off with a little bit of push, and here is the Benchy result. I mean, for a first print, this is way better than some of the Benchies I've printed on my original Ender 3. Probably just a little bit of dialing up, but I mean, this is really good result. I'm really happy with this. All right, so that pretty much marks the end of my setup with the Bambu Lab P1S with the AMS2 Pro system as an upgrade over my original Ender 3. And I gotta say, it's been about a few years since I've been in the 3D printing hobby, but already out of the box, the fact that I'm able to just print a Benchy like almost perfectly on the first print is simply amazing. I think 3D printing has come a long way. The fact that I didn't really have to tinker with much, the setup was pretty easy. Just read the manual, follow a YouTube guide if you need to. And I was able to upgrade some stuff and set up the AMS2 in about an hour or so. I just think that's so awesome to just be able to essentially be as close to plug and play as you can. I remember with the original Ender 3 setup, it took me a few hours, and granted it was probably my first time getting into 3D printing, but it took me a few hours to really like learn about everything, calibrate, learning how the leveling works, have to use glue, figuring out a lot of the stuff later on, like how to do some upgrades for the printer, how to do some stuff like with Octoprint, and then I sunk a lot of time into trying to perfect a starter printer. And I think if you would rather just have something work almost out of the box completely, I do highly recommend Bambu Lab, and I'm excited to see what I can print with this in the future. Some negatives, I think. Obviously, there's a huge price difference, right? Ender 3 is a starter printer, right? It's for enthusiasts starting out to learn. You can find the latest models for like 100 to up to 200. And I think it is worth getting into just to learn everything you can about 3D printing. Remember, I paid about $850 for the combo, and even more so if you're looking at a little bit of upgrade parts as well. So probably under $1,000. And then I think the second con is Ender and Creality is pretty open source, and there's a lot of custom mods and support and just about anything you can find for this printer. Bambu Lab is a little bit more closed off. There's a reason why they're called the Apple of 3D printers. I know Octoprint doesn't work on it natively, and I think like some of their other stuff, there's some drama behind like the firmwares and stuff and privacy concerns. But ultimately, if you don't care or even mind about all that stuff, this thing is probably one of the best 3D printers to buy in the market right now for under $1,000, just to have everything set up and ready to go. That's how I would compare these two as well for my upgrade, right? One is for starters, one is for hardcore enthusiasts who just want to print. So that has been my video on the Bambu Lab P1S and AMS2. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see more videos like this on tech content, maybe even more 3D printing videos, please give us a like, comment, and subscribe. We're trying to grow the second channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.